All right, so now we're going to take a look at theories explaining how democracies actually function. So you have majoritarian theory. Here, leaders are forced to follow the wishes of the people because the majority rules. You have the pluralist theory, where various groups, interest groups, they compete and compromise with each other to get the government to do what they want. You have the elite theory, where groups of people who possess the most power, money, influence dominate the government. You also have the bureaucratic theory, where appointed officials dominate the government through unelected jobs, where the bureaucrats basically dominate the elected officials and therefore run the government. Now, probably the two most popular theories are pluralist and elite, and we're going to talk about those in a little bit more detail. Now, one of the things to keep in mind when you're taking a look at these theories is this little democracy theory test. So keep in mind the U.S. holds mainly elections where the person who receives the most votes wins. Most U.S. representatives are upper-class people. The president appoints hundreds of people for government jobs or judgeships, and these people have special powers. Interest groups spend millions of dollars towards campaigns of favored candidates, and the candidate who raises the most money for an election often wins. So we got to think about, when we take a look at these realities, which of these theories is best supported by these ideas and these facts. So let's take a closer look at pluralism. So modern society consists of many groups: economic, religious, cultural, ethnic. They compete with each other to achieve goals. Groups that influence government, work hard, and have the largest membership generally get what they want, and we're focusing here on interest groups, and we'll talk more in the future about these interest groups. Now, these interest groups are what are called linkage institutions. They connect people with their government. So even if the average citizen does not keep up with politics, their interests will be protected by the group they are a part of. And very, very key to this pluralism theory is that groups must compromise to achieve goals. Now, another idea similar to pluralism is hyperpluralism. This is kind of pluralism gone awry, where you have a ton of competing groups, probably too many competing groups, creating gridlock in government, making government inextricably inefficient, making it almost impossible to govern. And so in order to actually govern, you have to start favoring certain groups just so the government can properly function. Now, let's look at some arguments for and against the pluralist view. There is no unified majority in the U.S. that always acts together. Government leaders must please groups to gain votes and money to be reelected. Groups must compete for government services and favorable laws. Some arguments against: relatively low numbers of people join interest groups. Poor citizens have less an opportunity generally to join interest groups or to contribute to them. And one can't always assume that group decisions are always in the best interest of a nation. For example, interest groups often do what's called rent-seek. They lobby into elected officials to increase their own wealth, their own power, oftentimes at the expense of those that are not paying attention to the process. Now let's take a look at the Marxist theory here, the elitist theory. That basically says control of the economic system is equal to control of the political system. So politicians require massive funding to win elections, and they rely on corporations to supply them. So this is very similar to the ideas of Occupy Wall Street. The government is run by elites, the 1%. Oftentimes associated with this would be crony capitalism, where the government will favor the businesses that give them money. So a reminder, these are theories. They're people's perceptions on our democracy and the way it functions. Which theory is correct? That is up to you guys. It's of great debate. So pluralism is the most popular theory today. Majoritarian was popular many years ago. Elite is definitely rising. And bureaucratic is a good theory as well, because the government seems to be spending more and more just to run itself. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and answer these two questions here. Describe the difference between a direct democracy and a representative democracy, also known as a republic. And we're going to compare and contrast the four theories of democracy. So which theory do you think best describes the United States in the present day, and why? All right, you might need to pause to do this. That's perfectly fine. And we'll move on to the summary. So in a paragraph, describe what you've learned today. And I will check these tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye-bye.